Hello everybody. If you want all the story's content in full, please go to www.steveuk.blog. Thank you. Short story 886, The Second Chance. Intermediate. Mr. Harris stood at the back of the small classroom. He watched the elderly students sitting around the wooden tables. They looked nervous as they stared at the computers in front of them. Their hands rested quietly on their knees. Many had never used machines like these before. "Good morning, everyone," Mr. Harris said warmly. His voice was soft but clear. "Today we are starting something completely new. You do not have to know anything yet." Mrs. Patel sat closest to the door. She raised her hands slowly. Her grey hair was tied neatly behind her. "I am worried," she admitted in a small voice. "My son says this is easy, but I feel slow." "You are not slow," Mr. Harris replied kindly. "You are learning something your generation never needed before. That takes courage." Over the next 8 weeks, the class met every Tuesday afternoon. Mrs. Patel arrived 15 minutes early each time. She brought notebooks and wrote down everything Mr. Harris explained. At first, she could barely make the computer turn on. Her fingers trembled when she touched the keyboard. She worried she would press the wrong button and break the machine. But slowly, progress happened. Week 3 came and Mrs. Patel sent her first email to her grandson in Canada. She had made the mistake of pressing send twice, laughing about it with Mr. Harris. By week 5, she learned how to find pictures from her childhood using online archives. One rainy Tuesday, she showed the class a photo of her grandmother's garden from 100 years ago. Everyone clapped softly for her achievement. Week 8 arrived on a sunny day in June. Mrs. Patel stood at the front of the room holding her notebook. She smiled nervously at her classmates. "I want to share something," she said clearly. "Last week I started writing letters to my grandchildren. I type them slowly and send photos from our family album. Yesterday, my youngest granddaughter replied, saying she felt closer to me now." She paused and looked around the room. Several people nodded with happy expressions. Mr. Harris felt pride swelling in his chest. He had not planned to change lives here, yet these brave students had shown him what real learning meant. "I will continue this course," Mrs. Patel added, "not because I must improve, but because I love connecting with others through technology." The other students stood and began chatting happily. Some showed each other emails they had received that morning. Mr. Harris walked to the window and watched clouds moving across the blue sky above. He knew he had found his calling today. Teaching was not about information alone. It was about giving people confidence to grow beyond what they thought possible. That evening, Mr. Harris locked the classroom door carefully. On his desk sat a card Mrs. Patel had left for him with handwritten words inside. It read simply, "Thank you for believing I could learn. I finally believe it too." Mr. Harris placed the card gently in his pocket. Tomorrow there were new students waiting who needed similar support. He switched off the lights and walked home, feeling deeply satisfied with the work ahead. Each person deserved the chance to discover something new about themselves, and he could keep offering those chances every Tuesday without fail. If you learned a new word today, please make sure to subscribe so you can practice again next time. Vocabulary notes. Nervous. In the story, the elderly students felt worried before starting the computer class. They were unsure if they could do the work. Example, they looked nervous as they stared at the computers in front of them. Meaning, feeling afraid or worried because something is new or difficult. Similar words, anxious, uneasy, apprehensive. Usage tip, you can say someone is nervous about a test or a big event. Courage. Mr. Harris told Mrs. Patel that trying to learn new technology at an older age required strength of mind. Example: you were learning something your generation never needed before. That takes courage. Meaning, the ability to do something frightening or difficult without giving up. Similar words: bravery, boldness, valor. Usage tip: this is a strong positive word used to praise someone who faces challenges. Progress: this word shows that the students were getting better over time, even if it was slow. Example: but slowly, progress happened. Meaning, forward movement or improvement toward a goal. Similar words: advancement, improvement, development. Usage tip: we often talk about progress in health, studies, or work projects. Achievement: Mrs. Patel managed to send emails and find old photos, which made the class happy for her. Example: everyone clapped softly for her achievement. Meaning, something successful that you have done after using effort or skill. Similar words: accomplishment, success, feat. Usage tip: small achievements matter just as much as big ones in language learning. Confidence: the main goal of the class was to help the students believe in their own skills. Example: teaching was not about information alone, it was about giving people confidence to grow beyond what they thought possible. Meaning, a feeling of trust in yourself and your abilities. Similar words: self-assurance, certainty, belief. Usage tip: gaining confidence usually comes after practicing something many times. Story written by Lumo. Image created by onemin.ai. To read, listen to all the story's content in full, please go to www.steveuk.blog. Thank you. CC Music, drifting at 432 Hz, Unicorn Heads.